Do you understand what is happening here? Look at the pDAI to pulse ratio. This thing is marvelous. It is moving up and to the right. pDAI, if the prophecy comes true, will break the internet. It will break the very fabric of the cryptocurrency industry. This is the ratio, friends. I'm just showing you in real time. It shows pDAI going to 0 at the start, and then it shows it going to 0 again the second time. So it's gone to 0 twice, and now it has recovered. But there's more to this than just this squiggly line chart, showing you this surprising and impressive price action to the right. You understand how powerful that is? That is the native SPI token of the freaking chain. So for you being able to do this, whoa. Now, I want to talk to you about Richard Hart's endgame. Okay. Now, I am guessing. All right. Richard Hart made 33 FUD posts about pDAI. It says it's a stupid pDAI. Stop buying it. It's poop. It's exploited. Blah, 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 blah. We've now come back and we have recovered the FUD price ratio. Do you see here? We've come back and we have recovered Richard Hart's FUD, Maria's FUD, Caddy's FUD. We've actually recovered all of it. So what's going on here? Well, remember, there's a term I coined called crypto's $1 trillion problem. Okay, I've made videos about it. Crypto's $1 trillion problem. Let's go have a look at it, right? So let's write it down here. Crypto's $1 trillion problem. It really is a $1 trillion problem. It's a double entendre. So why is it a $1 trillion problem? Well, after the bull market's done, trillions of dollars of market cap gets lost because we enter a bear market. And I've also called it a $1 trillion problem because whoever can solve this, I think, becomes one of the world's first trillionaires. Or becomes a trillionaire, maybe next to Elon Musk. Maybe when he stops having kids. Maybe by the time he's on kid like number 18, because now he's up to kid number 14. This is literally the lion's share of wealth. Whoever can solve this problem. And the problem is, what do we do in a bear market? That's the problem. Okay? It's basically, how do you keep a network effect alive while money units is being drained from the whole industry? And we know statistically a few things now after multiple cycles, okay? So we know, friends, if we go, I'll show you the chart again. In a bear market, let's look at it again right here. In a bear market, all right, there are two things that win. In a bear market, right, stable coins, USD win, and you also have Bitcoin, BTC win. All right, that's what happens in a bear market. In a bull market, right, in a bull market, there are two phases. Phase one, Bitcoin wins. Late phase, altcoins win. That is when you have the business cycle thrusting up. All right. So that's what you know by the business cycle, which I'll now come back and I'll show you. I've shown you thousands of times, right? So the business cycle, that's what happens, friends. As the globe, this is the business cycle, right? So the M2 is being drained out here. So in the drain out here, stable coins win. You see that? Stable coins win, stable coins win, stable coins win. Because everything is pretty much getting destroyed. USD maintains its purchasing power. And remember, it's US dollar stable coins. You don't want to own, the maple syrup dollar. You don't want to own the Kiwi. You don't want to own Hexy Bastards British pound. You don't want to own the Aussie dollary do. You don't want to own the crypto banters rand. You don't want to own them, okay? You want to own the US dollar because 50% of the world debt is US dollars, okay? So when liquidity gets drained out, guess what? It's harder and harder to pay off that debt. They have to sell everything else off, all right? So this is a very painful period, as we've seen, okay? This is a down part. In this recovery part, though, this is where Bitcoin shines first. Yes? And then we have the final part where altcoins start to shine. But think about the crypto 4-year cycle context. We've now seen this is what happens, right? This is how the crypto industry is evolving. What we've seen now, out of 4 years, okay, you can actually check it out right now. So I actually written it right here. Bitcoin follows global M2. Altcoins follow the business cycle, right? So in a 4-year cycle, right, you can even, if you start it from the top, the first year is everything down only, US dollars wins. The second and third year is BTC wins. In the fourth year, alts win, okay? Alts, which is what everyone's playing for pretty much, okay? So we are like obviously going towards the end of the cycle. Price-wise, we've got a long way to go. Time-wise, we know we're running out of time. We know we're ticking off, running out of time, right? But think about this, friends. Look at this. 75% of the freaking crypto cycle, it's more like 80% now, is Bitcoin and stablecoins, USD. I want you to think about that. 75% of the freaking cycle is Bitcoin and stablecoins. Interesting. So I want now you understand this. Now you can see why. You might say, hey, Somi, if I could make a business which takes advantage of that, focusing on US dollar and Bitcoin, you could make a lot of money. There's a lot of product market fit, isn't there? Yes, there is, friends. So let's continue. That's why when you're looking at pDAI-Pulse ratio recovering back and the rumors of pDAI being the world's first unstable coin that might have a journey to becoming stable, there is a lot of money on the table here, okay? So I've written here, right, mate, put it clear. What is the end game? To make PulseChain a sovereign nation. Sovereign means your own nation, okay? See, North Korea, they say they're independent, but they're not. Kim Jong-un has to import tankers of marshmallows to keep himself fat and pudgy. They can't make their own marshmallows in North Korea. If you eat their marshmallows, you get a bit of like, it's got plutonium and like copper and zinc and stuff out here. You don't want to touch their marshmallows. So how do we do that? So, okay, you now have something in your mind. You go, okay, Somi, I understand this crypto $1 trillion problem, because here's the thing, right? The business cycle eventually goes up. It does. And then everything, all the alts pump, right? And we know we've already got, you have the PulseChain core coins. Yes? We know we have them here. Right here, friends. You have Pulse PLS, the native Sphere token, just like ETH, Ethereum, just like Pedodot, just like the XRP token for their ledger. Yes. This is, it's the heartbeat of the city. When the business cycle goes up, these things will get a premium because there's a lot of GDP activity in the city. Okay. But in a bear market, no one's in the city. It's ghost town. That's why we're talking about crypto's $1 trillion problem. PulseX, it's not just a nice sexy time. It's a DEX. It has a lovely buy and burn, real DeFi, real utility, automatically buying and burning. But it's an exchange. So we know exchanges in crypto, the volatility and the volume, they ratchet up at the tops. And then when everything dies, no volume at the bottom. Okay. So this will be susceptible to the booms and busts, just like the Pulse. What about Hex? Same thing. Hex, the demand for Hex and people to think about the future. Whenever you think about future, friends, and long-term duration, that's business cycle stuff. When people are like, struggling now and they're looking for something to inspire them, no one wants to think about the future. Everyone thinks about now. They think about cheating for a 2x. They want to suck on the toes of the LA vape cabal to try basically be a fool that is going to make money off a greater fool who's also subscribed to Orange's Discord and other people who are trying to basically rinse the circling drain of the last pump fund dwellers, okay? That's what ends up happening. So Hex, remember thinking about monetizing time and future, cult within a cult, DeFi, but it's risk on, okay? It's part of that business cycle going up part, yes? What about Ink? Ink is the greenest logo in crypto. But people right now, they think it's blue. They're like, no, bro, it's green, but they're not thinking straight. It's not blue, it's green, okay? So the greenest logo in crypto can only be appreciated for being green when the business cycle goes up, okay? These things take care of themselves. Problem in crypto. Crypto is inverse to stocks. Stocks go up 75 to 80% of the time, and they drop 20% of the time, Yeah, it's like an elevator drop, but they do drop. So out of this 4.5 year cycle, stocks are up 3.5 to 4 years, 6 to 12 months going down. And then that's how the business cycle goes, okay? Crypto's opposite. So you know how stocks 78, 5%, 80% of the time going up? No, only Bitcoin does that. Altcoins don't do that. They're going down 80% of the time. They're like downtrending, and then the final 20%, they burst and make up more than make up for it, right? So there's an issue there. How do you keep people in a freaking city when everyone's looking for the exits now? Everyone's learned about the cycles. Well, if you make PulseChain the sovereign nation, no one needs to leave. That's why, friends, we know this, right? Stable coins and Bitcoin, they are the key, okay? You've already got risk on assets. Everyone can make a risk on asset. Meme coins, super cycle, crypto IPOs, whatever they are. There's a different narrative every time. But how do you keep people in the bear market? That is the most powerful thing you can solve of all. You know, that's why Bitcoin, friends, gave unicorn returns to everybody in it, because Bitcoin goes up in a business cycle bear market. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll just show it to you right now. That's why Bitcoin is literally a miracle. Look at it. See this business PMI? When the PMI is going down, Bitcoin's still recovering off its lows. Bitcoin's recovering off its lows. Here, Bitcoin, this is August 2019, Bitcoin recovered off its lows. You get it? It doesn't go to zero. It recovers first. It rallies in a bear market. So Bitcoin is the only coin to consistently rally in a bear market. So obviously what Richard Hart tried to do with Hex is he wants to make value for everyone else. The problem, though, is what came apart was that Hex is risk on. No matter what we do, no matter how much we try to lock people up, game theory, tokenomics, Hex is risk on. So does that mean we just give up? Well, most people just give up. 99.9% of people just give up. But the duck who used to live on top of a sandwich shop could still be there. Probably has other plants. So this is where we come to solving the problem. Now, this is very controversial because I'm not in the war room. I don't know if there is a war room. I don't know what's happening. Okay, I've got no idea. All I'm telling you is, in a bear market, stable coins win and Bitcoin wins. And what I mean by win, it means if you're holding them, you continue to hold them. So now we have to, because friends, I don't have all the answers, all right? I peg my own nipples. That's all I know. I don't have the answers of how this happens. Just like how if you bought Bitcoin at $100, you don't know how it's going to end up on BlackRock's balance sheet. You don't know how that's going to happen. You don't know how the US government's going to put it on there. It's just, I'll hold and see what happens. I'm a believer, all right? I don't know how the liquidity works out. I don't know the ups and downs on blockchain and what's going on. I don't know. All I just tell you is I see a vision. I see a path. So I'm holding. You can do whatever you want. What is this path involved, though? What is the end goal? Well, the end goal is if pDAI, let's do a tick sign here. Let's say pDAI is pegged to $1 or ping pongs around the dollar. And what about if PWBTC is pegged to BlackRock BTC? Why would this be basically completing the puzzle for pulp chain, poker chain, protein chain, pulse chain? Why would it be completing the puzzle? It's because if there are people who just repeat what they've done in the past every single cycle in a bear market holding stable coins, well, now you hold pDAI. You're in the chain. You use the DeFi on the chain. You earn yield in it. That's your savings account now. You don't need to leave. And you say, oh, but what about the BlackRock BTC part? That's another mystery. If PWBTC, the people's Bitcoin, it's like $600-ish now, whatever it is. If it moves on its journey and it can peg to the BlackRock BTC, now we have an interesting debacle, because everyone out there in the world who holds Bitcoin, if there was a farm on PulseX handing you ink tokens, which allows you to make yield on your Bitcoin, you have now opened up this door of all this large ocean water volume of liquidity to come into the chain of PulseChain. Why would you leave your BTC somewhere and just not earn yield when other people are giving you yield? Now, a lot of people might say, oh, but, firstly, there'd be the fudders at the start. They go, oh, it won't work because people think it's Richard's Bitcoin or they don't trust it. It's not a real BTC. True. But you have to continue that statement. Yeah, they won't trust it. But for how long, bro? How long? Let me ask you something. Are your nipples raw like mine are? It's the first question. Second question. Do you trust Tether? Do you know Tether was the most fudded thing in crypto? Tether. Now, Tether is like the holy grail of stable coins in crypto. Tether's one of the most profitable companies in the world. You know that? The world. Not like crypto. No, the world. Tether. Think about it. From the most fudded, running a Ponzi, unbacked, to now, dude, they went from unbacked to hiring the fancy banana investigators and coconut intelligence agency. Think about that. So what happened? Basically, Tether just survived some crypto bear markets where a lot of money tried to redeem itself. Let me show you. If you go to Tether Rooney, friends, Tether here at $1, if you click on Tether, you can go to its market cap and you can put it on log. You don't even need to. You see this part, friends? See this? This was the 2022 bear market. Tether's market cap went from 82 billion down to 67 billion. What happened? In 1 month, when Luna UST collapsed, Tether had $14 billion try to redeem in like a week. Guess what? Every single dollar was fulfilled. Every dollar. So the market tested it and now it's just accepted as reality. Think about this, friends. You might be stuck in Tether FUD at 60 billion. Dude, after you came $95 billion who said, I don't care about your FUD, bro. I'm going to get some Tether. And this is the funniest part. They're not even earning any yield. Explain that for me, by the way. It went from the most fudded thing to now you get an extra $95 billion of capital out there who are more than happy just to have a stable coin in crypto with their money and not earn any yield. Huh? That's why it doesn't take a genius to figure out if Tether gives you no yield and PulseX gives you yield in the form of ink tokens for your pDAI, which would also, let's say it is $1 one day, why wouldn't those people earning no yield in their Tether, why wouldn't they come and bridge in? It makes you think, right? That solves everything for the bear market. But then you might say, oh, but what about the BTC part? Well, that's when we continue, friends. The BTC part. Remember, we already know there is a large account. That's why we think it's Top Hat Richard, friends. We think it is Richard. Someone out there, like one account owns 30% of the PWBTC supply. So I just want to let you know this thing is scarce as hell. Okay, there's about 150,000 PWBTC only, not 21 mil. And one account, maybe Richard, owns like 40,000, okay? AKA 30 to 40% of it that we know of. He could even own more, okay? So what would that mean? That would mean if PWBTC could peg to BlackRock BTC, and I'll now show you the logos together. If we can peg them together and now they are bonded, right here, and they're giving you yield on PulseX, you've invited all this capital to come in and just sit there on the chain and earn this yield. And like, they reinforce the peg even harder. You see? You basically get all this liquidity because you're throwing out dollar signs to them, okay? Now, if you think that this isn't possible, remember, Curve Finance, perfect example. There are $400 million of cucks right now who are earning dog shit 0% yield on Curve. Look at this. Bro, you're earning 0%. $180 million is sitting here earning 0%. Look at this. This is, friends, you type in USD, press in USD here and sort by TVL. Look at this. Frax, 1%. Look at that. Rewards, 2 to 5% with the rewards. Look at Ripple's USD with USDC, 1% yield here. And then they get like 8% on the RLUSD. So, and look at this one. Here's MIM, the magic internet money. There's $35 million, $37 million there. They're earning, you know, like up to 10% on their little stable coin yield. But the base is dog shit. Why wouldn't they come in? You know how, friends, you know how powerful it is if someone's throwing out this money for you in a bull market. You go, hey, come get your stable coin yield out here. What are you going to do? Sit there and let all the other suckers take it? So you got to understand the power of this. So that's what we're witnessing right now. That's why this idea, obviously you're probably wondering, hey, Somi, where'd you get it? I don't know. I just sit here 18 hours a day because everyone's trying to think about, oh, where does the money come from to do the pegs? I go beyond that because I don't have the answers, man. I don't know the answers. All I'm just telling you is if this pulls off, there's a big, huge payout. It's like total victory. You basically perform a Mortal Kombat fatality on the enemies, on the competition. Because, friends, remember, what makes Bitcoin special? Okay, Bitcoin special, why? Because it has an 89% correlation to global liquidity, M2. That's what it is. It's literally 89%, 89.5%. And you can see it on that global M2 liquidity chart here. See that? You can see it. So it's not day to day, but it's like over like a 13-year period, every 3 months, whatever the period, the correlation's about 89.5%. So if you can match BTC and if you can match the $1 stablecoin, effectively what you're doing is if the government prints money, BTC liquidity drags you up, you never need to leave the chain. You never need to sell PulseChain and bridge out to go buy BTC. We have our own BTC. It trades 1-for-1 with the BlackRock BTC. And then if there's a bear market in crypto, what happens? USD stablecoins are like super scarce and rare. Okay, if pDAI is $1, we have that too. And so completes the puzzle. That's why it would be really nice if this all works out and then Richard marks the top with like a $1 billion public ICO sacrifice and he like does something amazing with the wallet. That would be basically you just completed everything, you know? Because everyone's there. Because then you're going to think, right, so most people, well, they'll think, oh, other chains are making applications. No, bro. Crypto's open source. If someone makes a cool application, you have a whole community of people earning yield and BTC and stable coins, and you have all the wonderful PulseChain core coins as risk on. The money is on the chain. You don't need to go out there. Someone will take the idea and just use it for these customers. That's why networks have value. You know that, right? If someone makes a mad idea, friends, let's say someone on Polkadot makes a really mad idea for a token or whatever. Trust me, the better the idea is, the faster it gets copy-pasted to all these other networks. You know, we already saw that, by the way. So my theory got proven true. CowSwap used this cool little tech, I think, to like hide the transactions or whatever it is. Uniswap steals, well, it's open source, right? But they steal CowSwap and they just apply it to Uniswap v4. Uniswap has a network already there of anyone who knows Uniswap. And then they're like, oh, thanks for the tech. See us. I mean, another perfect example, right? Richard Hart deploys pump tires on PulseChain. You know, did the PulseChain community go to Solana? No, we just took their tech and deployed it. So it's happening in real time. So that's why if this all works out, you've solved it. Yeah. It doesn't mean like, oh, everything's going to run by itself automatically and everything's going to be roses and fairies. It's not. But you pretty much lock in everyone for the next couple of years. So now I've given you this deep dive. Now you think about it differently, right? It's not about, let's actually play some Cranky G music. You and I on our journey together. It's not about can this happen? Because you're never going to know, oh, can't it? I don't know, bro. Just think about how big that is of an idea. Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you try to do it, you know? But still, trust me, I get the same questions. Like, where's the capital going to come from? How's it all happen? I don't know, dude. I don't know. All I'm just telling you is there's huge potential here because no other chain's doing this, yeah? If you want to participate in stablecoin supercycle, you have to release your own stablecoin, and then you can't. And most people can't. You can't do anything. How else do you participate? You can't. You can't do that. You can't do anything. And then it's all got blacklist function. You got to register with the Fed and all these other junk out here. You got a blacklist function anyway. You're competing against Tether. Then it's a race to the bottom because you got to hand out more yield to the customers. The yield squashes down to zero over time. There you go. Okay, maybe Ripple's been able to grift everybody. You aren't able to do anything. You know, you're competing with other 50,000 stable coins. This one has something special though. So now do you see this idea, friends? So in a bear market, you hold your PWBTC, which is just normal BTC priced, and then you hold your pDAI, which is just priced at $1. And then in the bull market, guess what? The volume and everything goes into the rich and hardcore coins. Maybe the next cycle of crypto, it's not as devastating as this one. Maybe we have this upside surprise where alt season, everyone expects it to start 2029, but it actually starts happening early in 2028 in that Bitcoin halving year, right? So we might get a surprise like that. But you can just see now, right? So everything gets covered. And then obviously what's the one missing piece? The wallet. You slap the wallet on, now you have top-down vertical integration. You see? But still, all these cute words and stories and everything out here, it doesn't mean it's going to definitely play out. I'm just telling you, this is crypto's $1 trillion problem. Everyone's trying to solve it. Okay? How do you keep attention? So I got to rephrase that actually. Not everyone's trying to solve it. Most people in crypto who are making stuff, they're going to exhibit the pattern of behavior we saw with Ethereum layer 2s. Like you saw with Molestia, the founder sold $25 million OTC and moved to Dubai after locking everybody up for pretty much staking. That's what you're going to see. So most people, friends, that's the thing, right? So that's why crypto, man, it's tough because so much demand comes in such a small amount of time. The founders and the devs and the insider teams, they go, okay, I can cash out like, 2 million or 5 million or 10 million or 50 million right now. I can cash it out and walk away. Then I never have to work for the rest of my life. They go, or I can really believe in my thing and try to make 200 million. Guess what? Rarely do they choose the 200 million path. Most of the time, what we've seen is they've been cashing out OTC. That means they get their locked tokens. They're not really locked. They sell them OTC. They sell them at 50% below the market price. They cash out and they go, oh, sweet. Don't care what happens after this. That's right, Richard, friends. It's a unique case because Richard, it's rare. He's already super rich. He doesn't give a shit about cashing out 10 or 20 mil. He's probably trying to get to hundreds of billions. Elon Musk level, probably. I can't speak to him. You have to speak to him yourself, friends. Go speak to the chef who speaks to him every day. He's ordering sandwiches from the sandwich shop. I don't know. That's why this thing, Richard's a unicorn. Do you get it? Because most people, when faced with this, you take the cash out. You know what I mean? Like, think about it, friends. We've even heard many, like even on Coinfessions, Rekt. One guy, I remember, made this story. He covered it. He said he has like this big project and then they could have grown bigger, but he said he'd been working a job. But instead what he did is he just sold a shitload of his tokens. He collected about 4 million, I think 2021 or maybe it was 2023. I forgot the date. He collected his 4 million. The project is now rugged. I don't know which one. It would have been one of the couple of 100 million market cap coins out there. He's 4 million. Because he had a wife and a kid. He got to buy a home. He doesn't have to work. And now he gets to work from the shadows on the project. The project's rugged pretty much. You know what I mean? Because he's like, oh, sweet. I've cashed out, right? So that's just a perfect example of that. Richard's when he's faced with 4 million, he's like, pfft, you know what I mean? Like the guy, Richard held Bitcoin through how much FUD. Doesn't give a shit about that money, okay? You see that's why crypto's really hard, friends. Because like, not only are you battling the cycle, you're battling, did the founders and the insiders, did they make too much money too fast? Where they're just happy to cash out? Because it's not just them, friends. They have families. They have wives. You know what I mean? They have employees and stuff. And they might actually be working a job. And they're like, oh man, I can literally just leave this right now. They're like, screw it, I'll just cash out 3 to 4 mil. Because then they get flooded out of stuff. They're like, oh, next cycle is going to be new narratives and new projects. Then there's all these other competition. And I was building something last cycle and the narrative changed. Now no one gives a shit about, say, securitization from 2020. DeFi dies on its ass. Now you have new stocks. You know what I mean? Like just everything changes so much. So that's why this thing is tough to navigate. But it still brings us back to this, okay? Maybe that's what I'm seeing. Maybe we are witnessing that over time, okay? I'll tell you right now, like, if you have a stablecoin at $1 on PulseChain, why would you ever sell and leave? Oh, to go buy a BTC? Okay, what if we do have a BTC? Now what? Now what? So you might say, oh, I would go sell to go buy other coins pumping. Yeah, but on average, if they're pumping, it's alt season time. And if the project is really good, someone on PulseChain will deploy it because there's enough money in there to make a business out of it. Do you see the power of locking everyone in? You get it? That's why this thing, huge potential. Now, this thing doesn't have to play out. If you're scared, sell now, sell tomorrow, sell yesterday. I don't know, okay? I'm just telling you, this thing, if it plays out, is huge. This is just part of a thesis. It's a part of a thesis. I don't have all the answers. But man, that's how you solve it. You've got everyone, the risk off and the risk on, right? Right now in crypto, everyone's only got risk on stuff. But now we've got stablecoin supercycle. We're bringing people into crypto who are risk off by their natural state, their natural behavior. They have stablecoins. They just want to earn the yield. They're too scared of crypto being risky up and down. That's pretty much what we're building towards, okay? So, like I said, none of this is guarantee, but I mean, this thing went to zero twice. You know what I mean? And now it bounced back. I wonder what the future holds. Like, subscribe, belly button, all. Catch you soon.